We're a few days into training camp. Nate Taylor of ESPN made it back from St. Joe once again, and in enormous, earth-shattering breaking news, Seth Keysor has his proper laptop and a functioning microphone. What else could you possibly ask for? Oh, maybe an earnest conversation about the cornerback position? Maybe a little insight into the tackle battle? Well, I'm going to leave that up to the other guys, but I'm hoping we hear that too. It's Only Weird Games. Joshua Brisco, Seth Keysor, Nate Taylor of ESPN. At some point this season, I'll drop it, but it's not going to be soon. Nate, we got a few days of St. Joe down. Andy Reid did confirm that the pads are coming on Sunday, so something resembling real football practice. I'm going to say real football practice starts on Sunday. What's the vibe 3 days into the experience?
Well, hello everyone. Yeah, Andy Reid did us a big service today because I would like our show to acknowledge that today was the last meaningful practice before Sunday, before the pads come on. And I want to give a quick shout out to Rachel, who says, I was at training camp today and my eyes and ears perked up because I was like, you were at training camp today? Like, man, I wish we could have said hello. And it's been really nice. So, yes, for this 2025 training camp edition, Rachel gets the first shout out. The second shout out goes to Nate Megan from Iowa, who attended his first training camp practice today with, I believe, his 4 lovely kids. I got a chance to high five Ivan and his lovely wife, who was just following them around like a woman who just said, sure, let's go to training camp.
Get some coaching tips from Joe Colin on how to make sure you're getting your message across,
Yeah, just scream spit at them. It'll come across based on some of the photography we've seen. And then lastly, these guys are day zero legends. This was our first year with like true day zero. Which means all I did was drive up to St. Joe to hear Andy Reid tell me who and who wasn't on the pup list.
Right.
And then I could drive back home. And that's Dawson with his crew. They were very nice. They like kind of shouted at me from afar and that was new. That was startling because I'm sorry, Ashton Gelati's over there. You don't need to.
Are you concerned about people scalping your autographs? Is that a concern?
No, that's not.
Have you at any point, has any fan tried to shuffle Patrick Mahomes away in order to have you get a free pass over to the to the fence line so you can scribble your name down?
No one has. Thankfully, no one has done that, and no one needs to do that. Now, I did tell Nate.
Everyone needs to do that.
Yeah, some people are going to start doing that. I need you to start signing it as Nate Taylor, next line of ESPN.
That's one thing everyone needs to know. Nate's going to deny it tooth and nail, but every time we've been recording together for 7 years.
Yeah.
6 years. And every time before shows, he's like, guys, I just want people to ask me for my autograph. Nothing would make me happier. And nothing makes me happier when people heap effusive praise on me. Nothing makes me feel more comfortable. So just know that's what Nate Taylor loves. Vocal praise and asking for autographs.
And Ashton Gelati is over there. Okay? Like literally pointing, like go over there. Don't stick around. I did tell Nate, and I will acknowledge this because like each day of practice after practice is a
good at boxing out
position group of players who get the privilege of meeting the fans and giving autographs. Like, hey, it's our day to be at the front of the line to give autographs. And so Nate, first day at training camp from Iowa, says, hey, where do we go? And I just pointed him in the right direction. And I saw the whole family walk over, and I was like, you know what? Nate's coachable. Nate is so coachable. I love what he's even on his first day at rookie camp. He's listening to veterans like me,
I wish that I could say that.
Seth, remember when Nate confided in us that the best day of his life was the day he bought a house, not because it was a big milestone, but it was because he had to sign his name like 80 times on all the papers?
Oh my God. Come on.
I'm pretty sure I've got it on tape somewhere. I think he provided me a written affidavit saying that.
Excuse me. Right here. Right here. Right. Yep. You missed that one.
Actually kind of shocking is that potentially the majority of our collective friendship is on tape. Like, I don't know if it's 50,
that's fair.
Don't think about it too much. Yeah.
Like we do talk offline and we do see each other in person and all of that, but we have a lot of receipts.
We do. This is Seamus Levin, longtime voyeur, asks, if I yell, handle your business really loud, will you notice, Nate? I'm going to take this question for Nate. Not only will he notice, but he'll be thrilled. And if you yell, handle your business, Nate Taylor of ESPN, he might even be more thrilled. It's hard to say, but these are just ideas. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Again, nothing makes Nate happier than when you compliment him over and over.
Hey, I just tried to give a few shout outs, and this is what happens, you know?
Nate, I'll run a little interference and say that if you're out
Thank you, Rachel,
Sunday,
for coming to training camp and telling us that you're at training camp.
If you go up on Sunday, you can see Tucker D. Franklin, and the D stands for definitely willing to sign an autograph. He'll sign your baby.
Out.
He'll sign your forehead. He'll sign your calves.
Glistening.
Tucker, give us, before the end of the show, give us a definitive list of all the things you won't sign, and then that way we can just sort of narrow it down.
Yeah.
Don't feel that.
Biceps, thigh meat, lower back, forehead.
No, places he won't sign.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Woo!
I don't
feel
good.
There.
I don't feel good declaring Tucker Franklin will sign your thigh meat. But I'll let you and Tucker can handle that if you go see him on Sunday. We got some stuff.
Someone clip this and send it to Tara, please.
Oh yeah.
Someone clip this and send it to Tara. I mean, Tucker's got the
she
controls,
knows,
but somebody.
Knows. Yeah.
Okay.
No, she knows.
Well, that's true. That's true.
She knows who Tucker is.
Yeah.
He's out here signing thighs. Tucker did just say in the chat, paper. So don't give Tucker paper. He needs to be able to really sink the felt tip of a Sharpie into something, and then he'll hook you up.
Great.
We got some stuff here, guys, and a couple things are kind of spinoffs of what we started to talk about on Tuesday. Obviously, Tuesday got a little bit hectic, and Tucker and I talked a lot about the offensive line and all of those things.
Whew.
Again, carrying
more ways than one.
But let's start with something that Nate, I don't think I have any additional information on. Oh man, they're both laughing at something in the chat, and I have to continue to host a podcast. I'll go read it later. I am curious to know where the Christian Fulton wait and see game is, because Andy Reid said when he went on the pup list at the beginning of camp, he said that Jawan Taylor is probably closer to returning than Christian Fulton. And then as Seth puts his glasses on his forehead, his face over his eyes, and drags it down his chin, Shamari Connor is the slot corner once again, at least start camp. Trip McDuffie and Jalen Watson have been outside. Spags talked yesterday about Shamari Connor and being kind of like this multiple dynamic player, which I would tend to agree with, like wanting Shamari Connor on the field. I think we all really like him. He's a very fun player. Also kind of a hectic, chaotic one. I believe that one of the offensive highlights of training camp so far was Xavier Worthy in the slot against Shamari Connor in man, and Xavier Worthy winning the rep by enough that it was okay that the throw was underthrown, I think. If I have my facts right on that
by
one.
like 8 yards.
Yeah, well, I mean, Xavier Worthy's very fast.
Worthy is very fast, yeah. And it was a zero blitz. There's no help over the top. I actually want to talk about that when we get a chance. But I would just say this. Yeah, they need to get Shamari Connor on the field. He's a guy who can play multiple, but I'm not asking to line him up at zero tech either. Like, that doesn't mean like we should use him like, I bet this guy could play Will. Like, you know, I like Shamari Connor, but like this big slot thing is killing me. And the Christian Fulton question's a good one, so I'm going to be quiet now.
Okay.
Well, so the Connor thing I understand, of like, if you can have him lined up in the slot, if you could trust him in man coverage a little more, I start to see it. You see being able to support the run, blitz off out of the slot, all of that. Yeah. But that, you know, he did that a lot last year, and we were excited about the Christian Fulton signing in large part because it would let Fulton and Watson go outside, kick McDuffie into the slot 75% of the time or whatever it is. They've got 3 corners on the field. So, Nate, what do we know about Christian Fulton's injury, his recovery timeline, anything about when he got hurt and should be back? Anything we know?
So still waiting to know as to when he will be back, but I can give you guys an update that for the first time in training camp, I saw Mr. Fulton do things off to the side. So that is a positive, right? Okay. Today I saw Christian Fulton lift a medicine ball over his head multiple times. Okay, so that's a good sign.
A lot of knee work, but that's good to know.
Well, I was just gonna say, you're probably wondering, hey Nate, what about the lower half? And I said, look, he lifted a medicine ball over his head multiple times. Now, look, he's doing some movement stuff, so it's not like, I think the belief is if there was a game, let's say this Sunday, Jawan Taylor will probably be out there. Not really sure about Christian Fulton. So we're still kind of in that realm, but this was the first day where it's like you can even start to tell, okay, day 3, I know it's like we're actually getting into installing multiple sections of the playbook, and that veteran goes, you know what, man, I do want to be out here. I do love football. You know what? Trainer, please give me something to do. So like that's where Mr. Fulton is right now, which is a good sign. As I've said before, Jawan Taylor's knee injury is minor, and he's doing the team a solid because we get to see so many reps of Josh Simmons at left tackle without any distractions whatsoever or anybody getting in the way of his quote-unquote development. As it relates to Chamari Connor, I want to make this very clear, Seth. I told Nate this, again, who was at training camp for the first time today, during 7-on-7. We have told this show, we have told the listeners, the audience, the voyeurs so often on this show, let me remind you, this man does not care in the months of September and October. So you're telling me, Mr. Keysor, that you're upset because without Christian Fulton, they're just letting Chamari Connor be out there because he was out there last year. And that means we don't care. We do not care. None of this matters. We ain't in pads yet. It's not October. None of this matters. Chamari, you know the spot, right? Go play the spot. All right. They have done very little rotating. And one of the quiet secrets that I'm going to let out now is it's usually the second week of pads that Spags actually wants to sprinkle in real personnel groupings just to get a taste, just to get a glimmer of what it might look like. So I still think Chamari Connor on average is your third rotational safety because that's probably where you can accentuate his skill set the most. But right now, all we're running is nickel and more nickel and more nickel. And hey, bring me a little bit of dime involved. And you know what? Nazeeh Johnson, kind of looking well in nickel. But none of that matters. None of it matters because that guy's over there lifting a medicine ball, which means I don't got to do anything, which means get your technique right. Where are you lining up? Are you showing anything? How your hips looking? None of this matters.
But what if it does?
It mattered last year,
offense.
Right?
That's for the
offense.
It
mattered a little bit last year.
Of course, it all matters, but it really don't matter. Look, guys, they won games with shits and giggles, and I know that's the first time I've said it this year. But let's remember that September was let's hand the ball off to a guy who wasn't drafted, whose sister's getting married this weekend. That will win anyway. So it matters, but it really doesn't. And at the same time, we have not seen McDuffie in the slot a ton. I think McDuffie's fine with that. We have not seen somebody just rang my doorbell. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pause my mic here momentarily.
Mute your mic so I can ask Seth the question. Hey, Seth.
Yo.
What if it matters?
If it matters, which I think it does. What
matters to you?
The personnel grouping stuff matters to me, even early in camp. It matters to an extent, and Spags is notorious for rotating guys all over the place. I think the thing that frustrates me is, Chamari Connor played in the slot last year, but so did Roland Wallace. And I would rather, if they're going to have someone different play in the slot, I'd rather they give the guy who was a rookie last year some reps there, who I thought showed a little promise playing slot. And so, like, I totally get what Nate's saying because, hey, the spots, because that's really what they're doing, right? So the play that everyone saw, it was they're showing a look, and it's more for the offense than for the defense. Right. They're showing a look with a form of a cover zero blitz. There's no safety over the top. Multiple guys are coming. The pressure's coming. And, okay, can Xavier Worthy run basically a post out of the slot to where Mahomes can just chuck it up? And the only thing is, don't overthrow it and don't drastically underthrow it. You can underthrow it a little, and it'll look like that. You can underthrow it a lot, really. Just chuck it up there to where it beats the blitz, and you made them pay for showing you cover zero. That matters. They're working on beating cover zero. That's the one thing. We really are literally talking about practice. I'm not going to do the whole bit.
I mean, you can't touch the quarterback. So, Mahomes' pressure today is very different than his pressure week 1 in Brazil.
But you are looking to practice the way you're going to handle certain things. So I like that. But it was a frustrating thing to see, even though I know it doesn't matter that much, just because it's like, let's move on from the things that didn't work. And I think one of the few downsides of incredible coaches is once they've got an idea on how to do something, they will occasionally hammer away at that idea until it's so clear it doesn't work that they're basically forced out of it. And that's one of the few weaknesses that Spags or even Andy Reid at times has as a coach. And again, this is acknowledging that both of them know more in their offhand pinky fingernail clipping that they clipped off 3 weeks ago than they know more than that knows more about ball than I do. But still, just play someone else in the slot, man. That's all I'm asking.
Even one step removed away from the general, because the best slot corner in football is also on this roster. He's just outside in these conversations that we're having at Trent McDuffie.
Right.
What I'll ask you, and then Nate can chime in after if he thinks that there's any interest in this whatsoever. You feel okay about the cornerback room? I think I'm doing a little Craig Stout note copying here. I believe Craig is the one who has continued to ask, "Are we done here? Anything else? Anybody want to add anything else?" I think Fulton having some injury issues over the course of his career and being banged up early in training camp, it does underline the fact that without Christian Fulton, this year's cornerback room is last year's cornerback room plus a mid-round rookie. I'm cool with Noah Williams, but he hasn't played NFL football yet, so I don't assume that he's going to be great as a rookie. I don't assume he's going to get a look over Najee Johnson early on. I would assume that the incumbent will get that first. I'm not expecting a free agency splash, but Kendall Fuller is still a free agent. Stephon Gilmore is still a free agent. There are a few of those guys who are probably waiting for their best spot as training camp goes, as injuries happen and all of that. Kendall Fuller is 30, by the way. He feels like he's been in the league for 25 years. He's like 30 and a half, basically. But with all that said, Seth, do you have any interest in anybody else being added to that room, or are you comfortable enough with a floor of Najee Johnson, Joshua Williams, Noel Williams at the bottom of that position?
I think the problem for the Chiefs, unless Christian Fulton is hurt long term, I think it'll be tough to get Gilmore or Fuller to sign here, because what's the role you're selling them? Both of them, in case they want to play football in 2026 too, they're going to want to be able to get some snaps and that kind of stuff. And if Fulton's healthy, he's a starting boundary guy. Whether it's him or Watson, who's the number 2 guy, I don't know. So it's tough to find a role over Watson. I like Watson. I like Fulton. I love McDuffie. I do think the problem with cornerback is it really becomes this never-ending thing, because you really can use 4 corners. And every team in the league is probably going to be in a little bit of trouble. For me, it's just there's more obvious things to be maybe practicing in terms of what to do in the event that they are down a corner. I would love to see them trying some other stuff out. But like Nate said, right now they're just giving looks, and I get that. It's just a frustrating thing when you see something that really I think was a little avoidable last year, and when it did matter. That's where I get a little bit frustrated. In terms of corner with Fulton, if he misses stuff long term, I would definitely prefer, if they still don't trust Williams, if Johnson still lacks explosion, all that stuff. I would love for them to grab Gilmore and say, hey, come play on the boundary. You're going to have to play like 60% of the snaps. Come on, dude. Or Kendall Fuller, who's shown he can play in the system.
I think it's interesting, Nate. I don't know if it's practical, but it's something I've seen people ask about. And again, as the room seems thinner, I'm curious. Do you feel like there's any thought of that right now, or is Christian Fulton's injury just at a point where it's like we're not overreacting to that?
Yeah, right. There's no reason to overreact. Let me just go to a little handy dandy, little handy dandy tool called Over the Cap, and I don't know if this figure is quite updated yet, although it might be. Chiefs have $20 million in cap space.
Yep.
Now, I mean, you want to, for all intents and purposes, you want to hold that money and roll it over for 2026, the majority of it. But, you got everything's updated, I guess so. Wow. Where's George Karlaftis in all of this? Yeah,
I don't think he's gotten the official update on his.
Yeah, I'm looking at. No, I think it's. I don't know. It's technically in there, but
Bottrack doesn't have it yet. I don't know. Over the Cap. I don't know if his number.
Yeah, Over the Cap, I think does have it. Although this seems not. No. They don't have it. Yeah, they don't. Have
it's still the same as his.
It's still, yeah. Okay.
Year 4 number.
Yeah. So okay, let's say 14 million. I'm just going to spitball right now, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Also, there are, I mean, not that you want to know this, but I'm employed to tell you that yes, there's a photo of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That is interesting.
Fascinating. I haven't seen this yet, and I'm going to wait.
They're both wearing summer white.
Wimbledon.
Thank you. Travis Kelce's wearing a hat that says captain, and Miss Taylor's wearing a hat with perfect red lipstick that says first mate.
Why is the hat wearing lipstick?
The hat has perfect red lipstick.
Perfect red lipstick.
That's with Liam Neeson reviving the Naked Gun series.
Yes,
I'm out here just killing those jokes these days. Please be good.
Yeah, Anita says there are 13 photos, and I am double checking. Seems accurate.
Seth, the trailer is good. Like, we're on the same page that the trailer's very funny, right?
Yeah, the trailer's funny. I just can't see Liam Neeson as a joking actor, but that's what everyone said about Leslie Nielsen.
Exactly.
He was only serious. I find everything Leslie Nielsen does hysterical because I only knew him from those movies. It is hard watching Liam Neeson, but that's what Leslie Nielsen did to people. And you remember the scene from, there was like, I haven't watched the movies Ted. Like, there's a scene where he's like getting stuff from a grocery store, and like this talking teddy bear is like talking to him about like Captain Crunch and stuff. And it's really funny. And it makes me have hope. And I'm sorry I dragged this afield. I just really want this to be good because I personally think that Leslie Nielsen deadpan is one of the very highest forms of humor. And so
if it was Welcome Back, the Naked Gun reboot starring Chris Pratt would not do anything for me.
No, Leslie Nielsen, I think they get it.
I like the Liam Neeson poll.
I think they get it. Who do they have as the sidekick? Like, I don't know, like to fit the mold, like they're gonna have like Deshaun Watson be the funny sidekick. Like,
all right, we can knock that one off the checklist. Next up is offensive tackle battle. You know what? Actually, Seth, why don't you continue that bit to its logical conclusion?
I'm just saying it's weird seeing OJ Simpson.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to. And I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust. And I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible. And they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Folks, there's nothing that beats relaxing on a hot summer day and watching some baseball. And there's no simpler way to get in on the action than by downloading the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. And the best part, Pick 6 is available right here in Missouri. Don't miss out on the fun. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6, and right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Here's what you got to do. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Bonus picks expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Some of this can all roll into our later conversation about what does and doesn't matter during training camp. Seth wrote about it in the newsletter, and it's been a part of this show already. Some things that may or may not matter, depending on what perspective you're taking. But we can all agree, Nate, it matters that Josh Simmons started training camp at left tackle, that he was out there from snap one. And as far as I've heard, he's been out there for everything that they are asking him to do. You mentioned that Jawan Taylor being on the PUP list is allowed for a very easy kind of no nonsense, no distraction start in terms of the tackle positions. With that in mind, where is the battle at offensive tackle right now? Not like what's the standard, what's the position? Is Josh Simmons the left tackle until proven otherwise? Is Jalen Moore an actual candidate at right tackle? Is something going to change when Jawan Taylor gets back?
Things are going to have to change when Jawan Taylor gets back. That's where this becomes ultra compelling, because however long that is kind of up to Jawan Taylor.
Sorry to cut you off so early, but this is an off-season knee cleanup that's just sort of continued to nag at him this season. Do I have that right?
Yeah, you could say it nagged at him last season.
Right. But I'm sorry. I don't, if you need to blink twice, that's fine. I feel like I heard somebody say that didn't he have a little procedure this offseason to address that, to clean that up or something?
I will let him explain that when the time is
okay,
right.
Fabulous. I don't credit that to me either. I think I heard something else.
I was about to say, if you want,
I'm going to look for a source so I can cite that or ignore it, everybody.
If you want to intimate that, Josh Brisco said he had a.
That's not true. I know who I think said it, but I don't want to throw them under the bus and make them wrong also.
So look, you get to a certain age, you've been through enough training camps, you can take your time. The Chiefs need to see Josh Simmons in every form of training camp, whether he's in the spotlight or not, whether it's the preseason or not. At some point, Jawan will play, I believe at this point, preseason snaps, which then will lead you to decide, okay, who plays left tackle? Because as I said in the offseason, there's nothing to suggest, at least so far, that Jawan Taylor is not your starting right tackle. He is their starting right tackle. It's a matter of how much does Josh Simmons make the coaching staff, the personnel staff, the training staff pause whenever that moment comes as to, well, how much do we want to let him go in terms of reps, snaps in the preseason, perhaps all the way up to opening night against the Chargers. We're still a long ways away, but yet we're creeping towards it ever so much. I still think cooler heads must prevail. And yes, even though Patrick Mahomes might have a new left tackle in Josh Simmons, you should still, under Seth's carefully thought out reasoning and writing, traditionalists will say it should probably be Jalen Moore and Jawan Taylor. But of course, these things are never linear, and sometimes things don't go the way they are intended to go. So Josh Simmons has every opportunity, as of right now, to earn a starting spot. And what happens when Jawan Taylor comes back will be quite telling, because it will tell you how far Josh Simmons has come in the coaching staff's mind, in the personnel staff's mind, and in the training staff's mind.
If I were Jawan Taylor,
can I sneak in my Jawan Taylor record correction real quick, just to make it not just me?
Do it.
A to Z had a story. Charles Goldman had a story after Brett Veach's press conference, because he talked about Jawan Taylor rehabbing that knee, and so both A to Z Sports and again Chuck's coverage over there. I don't know if he likes when I call him Chuck. I need to ask about that. I like Charles a lot. And then also Arrowhead Pride had a mention of it in one of these stories as well. So I'm at least not just making that up, which makes me happy to know. Seth, sorry for the interruption. Back to you.
No, that's good to know. And it's a good reminder that sometimes the things that we see guys, the way that we see them play, sometimes has a little more to it than what we're thinking. Here's the thing that's kind of interesting to me. The pads come on Sunday, and we've talked about this at length. Padless practices don't really matter for offensive linemen and defensive linemen especially, but they don't really matter for anyone, honestly. Like, I mean, it's like, oh, I'm a wide receiver who doesn't handle contact well. Nobody can touch me. La, la. I mean, that's why we've seen it over and over again. The thing that's interesting to me, if I were Jawan Taylor, I would be thinking about, and again, he's got to rehab, he's got to get healthy. There's scenarios here where once the pads come on, that can potentially change the analysis of certain things. One of the only things you can tell with Josh Simmons right now is, based on the clips I'm seeing, looks like he's moving very comfortably. That's a big deal. And that's one thing, like when you're talking about injury. So like, okay, paddless practices. You know who looks like he's moving fast? Travis Kelce.
Yeah. Good for him.
He looks like he's moving.
Wrote about him today. Mm-hmm.
It looks
before these photos were released.
It looks like he's moving pretty well. When you're dealing with like injuries or you're worried about someone aging a little, stuff like that, then training camp can matter because you're kind of seeing how they're moving. Josh Simmons, same thing. He's got a knee thing. How is he moving? Because his elite movement skills were part of why he was so good in college.
Yes.
He looks like he's moving incredibly well. You can see that. Now that changes again when pads come on because you're changing where your landmarks are and it matters more, all that stuff. But if I'm Jalen Moore, I'm kind of quietly rooting for I don't know what you root for. Do you root for Jawan Taylor to stay out for a little bit and you show with the pads on, hey guys, I look really good at right tackle. And I'm just saying, I didn't have at least a penalty in every game I played last year, which that's an exaggeration. I feel for Taylor with that. Some of it wasn't on his fault. Some of it was. Or do you say, man, if Josh Simmons gets one practice in pads, and what if, this is hypothetical, you shouldn't have too many expectations on rookies, especially at left tackle, because it's really, 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 really hard. But what if those really strong hands that Travis Kelce raved about show up with the pads on, and the kid is still moving the way that he's moving? And the coaches go, good, what are we supposed to do here? That's Sunday.
Do you want my theory?
I would love to hear your theory.
Okay, guys. Let's say everything goes perfect. There's a plan. There's a possible lineup. And I guess we might as well say it now on the third day of training camp before the pads show up. We know Jalen Moore can play in the NFL. We know Jawan Taylor can play in the NFL. If this guy's healthy, he would have been a top 10 pick, full stop. We do not know if Kingsley Suamataia can play at a high level in the NFL.
Man, I got to tell you,
the lineup would then be pausing for effect. Josh Simmons, Jalen Moore, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor.
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. And again, Kingsley, so Kingsley Suamataia is like, hey, Jawan, could you come back before the Pats come on? Because Kingsley's going to have a chance to show something too. He played pretty well. He played pretty well against Denver in the final week. There's interesting options there. I've got to duck out. It's last night of VBS. I'm gonna teach the kids a song about punching the devil in the face. It's gonna be fun. But
I mean, I want to say my phrase so bad right now, but for the children, go Jesus.
Well, what was the alternative take you had? You know what? We'll talk about that later on.
It was called HE double hockey stick. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. So
are we picking teams? Are we drafting sides?
That is one interesting thing. Jalen Moore.
All right, I've got Judah.
Jalen Moore has not played.
Judah in the third round, if anybody wants him.
Read some pretty wild stories about Judah, bro. One thing I would
Tucker
say.
and I just made the same joke in the private chat.
Oh, yep.
Oh, no.
So, anyway, I do have to go. So, I do want to say something real quick before I go. Jalen Moore hasn't played guard in the NFL. Some guys changing positions comes naturally. And if Jalen Moore is already, doing some right tackle stuff, my assumption is it's because he's talked to the coaches and said, yeah, I'm pretty ambidextrous. This doesn't bother me. That's an interesting option. They always say best 5, but it doesn't always feel like that because you got certain guys that really can't move around as much. My hope would be if Simmons is able to come on strong, that they make a really, really long, hard look at who the best 5 are that doesn't include contract considerations.
Right.
I will also say I've had a few people ask me, and this is the last thing, and then I'm going to go. I've had people ask me like, oh, what if Moore plays well at right tackle? Then would that, like, maybe they try to trade Jawan Taylor? I would note because a lot of Jawan Taylor's contract hit, his cap hit it comes in the form of bonuses. They actually, it's not as undoable from the Chiefs end as cutting him. But here's the deal. If I'm the Chiefs and what's happened the 2 Super Bowls they've lost happened, I'm not cutting quality tackle depth.
Correct.
So I wouldn't do it no matter what. If somehow Kingsley
3 guys with recent big injuries too, for what it's worth.
Let's say Jalen Moore wins the right tackle spot somehow. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to be a true contest, but we'll see. And Kingsley Suamataia wins the left guard because he plays well, and Simmons plays well and it's the left tackle. I still wouldn't trade Jawan Taylor. Absent him being like, I'll be this malcontent, never show. And from everything I heard about him, he's an awesome teammate. I don't think he'd do that.
Right. Very good professional. Yes.
All of this is pretty good news to hear. I will just tell everyone, pay attention to Sunday's practice. Consistency over time is what matters.
Yes.
But this is our first chance to hear what it looks like with the pads on. I want to hear about Norman-Lott. I want to hear about Ashton Gelati. I want to hear about Josh Simmons. I want to hear about Kingsley Suamataia. This is, once the pads are on, what does it look like? I will see you guys on Tuesday.
What a sign off. The best thing you could pay attention to on Sunday. Okay, he's gone. We're good. So the real meaning of the thing you should be attending on Sunday, but he's on his way to VBS, so I don't have to continue that bit. Nate, I saw a couple of mentions on social media today, but not very much until you texted us earlier and said, I've got something on who I'm calling right now, our early rookie riser. You said, I've got something. I don't know what, but I've got something on Omar Norman-Lott. he obviously had a very loud draft selection, as we talked about that pick for him, where it was just a guy that you could see some of the tools, but he played a shockingly small number of the snaps in college, not due to injury or a very short career, but just he was in a part-time role at the college level. What did you see today, or what have you seen in the last couple of days that made you say, hey, I want to talk about Omar Norman-Lott on Only Weird Games?
All right, guys, I've saved this just for this episode, just for you. If Rachel's still with us, I wonder what she thinks. Because I always like to see what people in the crowd think as well. But every year, Josh, I've given you one. And you know what? I'm gonna give everybody one before the pads come on, in anticipation of the pads. And guys, I don't say this lightly, but Mr. Second round draft pick, right? Getting legitimate first team reps. Now, so far, just as a bit of context, this is a passing camp so far, okay? You cannot do 9-on-7. They're running the ball out of shotgun just to give the defense a different look with, hey, what if they run out of, certain coverage? What if they run out of dime? If the offense runs when we're in dime, obviously what the offense runs if we're in nickel. So again, it's been a passing camp so far. But guys, I'm here to tell you, this year's edition of He Looks the Part is Omar Norman-Lott. He looks the part, Josh.
I also saw something. Did Chris Jones say he's at 315 right now? Not Jones, Norman-Lott.
Yes.
I saw somebody tweet about Chris Jones giving out his number. I watched the presser. That detail did not stick with me.
Yes,
which
he
is
did.
Heavier than he was at the combine, and I think the Chiefs website has him at 315. Does he look bigger than you saw him in college, or is it what does looking the part in shorts mean at this point?
Normally, this goes to now. Last year, I just want to make this clear. If this goes a similar projection, this is a good sign, given his role within the defense for this specific rookie season. But last year, now this might have been right around early pads, like day 2, day 3. Maybe I had a little bit more self-respect to give you guys more time to let it simmer, to let it season a little bit for the meat to get tender. Instead, I'm just giving you it right now out of an assembly line. But last year it was Jaden Hicks. It was so obvious that Jaden Hicks looked the part. And I said, oh my God, they got him in the 4th round and his days are numbered.
Yeah.
That was beloved and amazing human being and will once again replace Tyrann Mathieu.
Crazy, right?
Justin Reed, you won't be here next season because he looks the part.
I don't know. You can just tell me when you're done talking about Omar Norman-Lott off of 3 days of shorts, because you're delivering the necessary asterisk here, right?
Yes.
So we all hear that. But is that him next to Chris Jones as a pass rushing duo? Is that? I also saw, again, this way too early. This doesn't matter. But I did see Mike Dana's out there with the first team. Oh, please just let Charles Minahu do the things that he needs to do. We are a very long time away from me stressing out about the defensive end rotation. But
I think some of that is I should have said this earlier too. Hey, I want to see Noam Williams. Well, he's a rookie and right. He seniority kind of rules with Steve Spagnuolo, especially this early in the camp.
That's so it's kind of makes the Norman-Lott thing feel like something, but it's July 24th.
There you go.
And I was told I wouldn't do that in July 24th.
Boom.
I said I wasn't going to care, but there's a defensive rookie in Spags' first team rotation. I can't not notice.
Exactly. So this is what actually matters. None of this other bull bleep on defense matters. That young man being next to Chris Jones, having quickness, showing athleticism, showing, you want to do a little quick screen? I'm here. I'm right here I can't hit you, but I'm here. Hey, the quarterback's doing play action, and maybe I won with my quickness. Oh, that's right. I can't hit you, but I'm here. I'm here. Let's just say that, like, I'm jumping out on tape to people with authority.
Man, I would be so delighted for him to be like an impact player, especially relatively early on, because that was the position group. Like, we kind of knew that tackle was in the mix, but they had signed Jalen Moore, and so there wasn't an urgency for 2025 necessarily. Obviously, correct. Josh Simmons works out great. I think everybody's thrilled with it, especially now he's out there at training camp. Everybody's thrilled with the Josh Simmons experience.
It's a miracle.
But every mock draft that I could take Derek Harmon, I was doing that. Like looking at bolstering the interior, and I like Jerry Tillery, but it's a 1-year deal.
Right.
We didn't mention, I don't think we mentioned this when we talked about Karlaftis, but like that entire defensive end room is basically on a 1-year deal. Who's a 1-year deal. Dana's in the last year that's going to stand as deal, is. Right. There's more money next year, but if he's here, it won't look like that in all likelihood. And then Felix kind of up in the air. Ashton Gelati's a rookie, right? But the defensive tackle spot is also the one, more so than corner, today notwithstanding, that's also the spot we've been like, so are they going to add like one more body in there later on in camp? Because right now, Fabian Lovett and Marlon Tuipulotu are like two of the guys that you have to include when you talk about kind of that nose-ish, the Derek Nottie one tech kind of run stuffer that Mike Pennell is the leader of, but Mike Pennell's been out here for quite a while. Omar Norman-Lott was never supposed to take on those snaps necessarily. It's not the type of player that I don't think he was even projected to be. It's kind of the fun thing with him. He's almost all projection. The stuff you saw in college was fun, but it was such a small sample size that I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to say that's going to translate to the NFL level. It would be a really big deal if Norman-Lott could be the guy to take on a few more snaps per game than you were anticipating. Because if he can bring a little pass rush juice and still have that defensive line be stout enough against the run to not be a problem, all of a sudden, like, you're making time to get him and Tillery on the field in their little rotation.
Yeah. And, so much of the Chiefs' own scouting department really came down to we just feel like we're not taking as big of a gamble, as big of a risk, or big of a chance on Omar as maybe other teams, because we just trust our scouting ability and, again, our projections and what do we need within our own, system and structure. He's 6'3", 315. Come on.
It seems like he moves pretty good.
Moves like the wind for that size. I think I'm most excited to watch him in a preseason game more than any other rookie right now. And that is saying something, guys.
Yeah, no kidding. Because it'll be interesting to see what Josh Simmons looks like against just live full contact reps.
Yep.
I'm really interested to see what Gelati is going to look like. Noel Williams probably later in a game, but you want to know if he's an actual contender for this season.
Right.
Jalen Royal's got a little bit of work early. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate. My last thing for you here before we'll eventually wrap it up is like anything else that's caught your eye from these days of camp. I will say that I'm trying personally to not care what receivers are working with Mahomes too much.
I don't know.
Because if you can't get to Mahomes reps, you're probably not making the team, right? Like,
right.
Tyquan Thornton should get a few reps with Mahomes because he's in the mix for that last spot. I don't know if Elijah Badger is going to get into that room because he's an undrafted free agent. Tyquan Thornton was here throughout some of last season and this entire offseason. But I do like Jalen Royals getting a little bit of early work just because you are trying to get a rookie up to speed and probably in the absence of Rashi Rice to start the year. I think the first, however long Rashi Rice is suspended, let's say 4 weeks, I'm throwing a number. I think those first 4 weeks are going to have a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not sure. I think it's going to have a lot of Jalen Royals. So what do you make of the wide receiver moves there or anything else that's kind of popped in terms of who's playing where?
So here's the thing that I think has popped the most when it comes to receivers. Tyquan Thornton feels more outside receiver-ish in the rotation, right? So that's Hollywood Brown, obviously Xavier Worthy. Hey, we can throw in Tyquan Thornton in the mix, given what the rotation is with the expectations at this point that Rashi Rice will more than likely be suspended. to start the season. So now the question is, what happens inside when you have such a valuable player like Rashi Rice running from the slot?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as we saw at times last year, that's why you have Juju Smith-Schuster, a legitimate professional receiver. He's almost gotten to like this Johnny Morton level of just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm open.
Love that call.
I catch the ball. I'm good. Like, not great, but I'm good. Like, I've seen every coverage. I will catch every contested ball. I will get as many yards that are available to me. That's where Juju is. But what mattered yesterday, a little bit more so than today. Today was a little bit more of a slim down install from my understanding. It was Wednesday's practice that sort of demonstrated, okay, Andy Reid's testing the rookie. You got to learn all the positions, just like Sky Moore did, just like, Xavier Worthy, just like Rashi Rice. All right, Jalen, you're in the slot today. Let's see it. And I'm going to read you a little something, Josh, from a little website called ESPN.com. Did you like that?
I love that.
Okay.
Your website, ESPN.com?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, think about it from this. I'm just going to read these paragraphs. Quote, the first repetition for quarterback Patrick Mahomes in the 7-on-7 period Wednesday was finding Royals open in the middle of the field for intermediate completion against the defensive zone coverage. Royals' best repetition was during the team period when his assignment was running a slant. The impressive part for Royals was that his timing with Mahomes was perfect. Their connection leading to an easy completion that allowed the rookie to maintain his speed after he caught the ball. Oftentimes, Royals was on the field with three-year receiver Rashi Rice was on the sideline, which was quite telling. The Chiefs could use Royals in the role held by Rice in September. Rice is expected to be suspended by the NFL before the start of the regular season. If such occurs, Rice will be suspended for violating the league's personal conduct policy punishment after he and another speedy driver caused a chain reaction multi-crash that left multiple people injured on a Dallas highway last year.
I'm going to play both sides of this just a little bit. If Jalen Royals breaks the trend and becomes a rookie wide receiver who is a legit, not a foundational piece, but a legitimate piece of the plan in week 1, it will be delightful because that pick from that was the only pick. We had the KCSN draft coverage up there at Holiday Distillery. That was the pick that I just remember throwing my hands into the sky because it was like, well, Jalen Royals is still there. It's the 4th round. You might as well, right? Like that fits. That makes sense. And then they did. And you go, hold on a second. This could be kind of spicy. I can't believe he was still out there. If that happens, it will confirm, one, just like so many priors, which is always one of my main goals, is to have my opinions validated. And two, it will begin to do things for this receiver room where you have your top 3-ish receivers. If Royals can climb it, top 3 of the 4. Right. Hollywood's obviously in there as a veteran on a 1-year deal, but you can have 3 top tier, really involved receivers all on rookie contracts. And obviously Rice has quite little time left on his. Worthy's got some time and then a 5th year if they want to, et cetera. Anyway, the other side is that if Jalen Royals is the guy who bucks that trend after Xavier Worthy didn't really do it, it's like a week 1 impact, right?
September. Yeah.
Right. September impact. Xavier Worthy didn't really do that. And there was an injury of Hollywood before the regular season. Rashi Rice didn't really do that. They had some things tested. They were involved in the games, obviously, but it was mid-season when they were really like a focal point. Yes. If Jalen Royals can be a focal point while Rashi Rice is suspended, I'm going to be hard to calm down.
Right. And again, being an option that's in time, in rhythm with Mahomes, while there's also attention being paid to Travis Kelce, to Xavier Worthy, to Hollywood Brown. Yeah, I can see Jalen Royals available on a just a little slant little get me over slant, and it leads to 8 yards. And it's like, we're moving the chains. You've done your job. You've done your job because we spread everybody out, and now we can go to you, and you can give us some completions. Who knows? Maybe you make the first guy miss, and it becomes a 12-yard gain instead of an 8-yard gain. So all these things matter. This is why I love training camp, because you're trying to find. I'm trying to both tell you on the defensive side of the ball, none of it matters because they're not in pads. But on the offensive side of the ball, that kind of matters because, well, where's that's where Rashi is. Hey. Today, first day of camp, they gave Rashi so many opportunities, and it was like, yep, he's back. He's healthy. He's the number one. Boy, if his knee holds up, good luck, everybody. Especially after the suspension, of course. So day 2 turns around and becomes, okay, well, let's see what the rookie can retain. Let's see what the rookie can do in a very specific alignment within the offense, a very specific role, and let's see if he's up to speed with Mahomes. Now, the last little bit I can tell you is, this is not a part of it, or we haven't discussed this, but in terms of what matters, sometimes someone like Nate Megan will come up to me and introduce himself, and he will have come at the perfect time because it's 7-on-7, or we're about to go from 7-on-7 to team period. And we're about to go from 7-on-7 to team period, maybe in the red zone. And who knows, maybe it's right in front of us, with the reporters on the hill. You've obviously been there, Josh, and we can just see everything. And I'm trying to tell Nate, all right, I saw them install this play earlier. I saw it. Here it comes. Let's see what the rookie does. And everybody's like, well, Nate, I don't know, man. You really haven't named that 7th round draft pick that's just going to take Isaiah Pacheco's job. What's he doing, right? What's he up to? And you go, okay, well, hey, I love him just like anybody else, right? I'm right there with you. But it's hard, man. This sport is so freaking hard. Brashard Smith today was asked to run a very specific route in the red zone to be open against a specific coverage with Patrick Mahomes. He ran his route like he's always ran his route. And you know what? Every other time, high school, college, hell, maybe even OTAs, it's always worked. And you know what, kids? He was open. And I told Nate, you got to be quicker, young man. Get that head around. Get it around. Pat threw him an absolute missile, and his head was just starting to turn. Because you know what, son? We're in the red zone. When you're in the red zone, you're open for half a second. And I got to anticipate when that half second is going to be. So you know where the ball's going to be? In your chest, young man. Get your head around. He drops the ball. Everybody goes, oh. And I said, no, Nate, look over there. Look at Andy. Got to get your head around. It's a lot. Hey, this is the NFL. Not for long, young man. Get your head around. Run the route faster. Get your head around faster. Get your hands up faster. Be ready faster. And the rookie goes, shrugs off on the sideline. And I said, that's what matters. That matters right there. On day 3, I can pinpoint that and say, when they run it on day 7, get your head around. And did Pat have to throw the ball that hard? Nope. But it's day 3. And I got to tell you something. It's the red zone. It goes by so quick. This ain't college anymore. Threw the ball through his body, Josh. And then the head coach on cue was like, faster, young man. Faster. That's what matters.
I'm sure glad Andy Reid doesn't watch the clock of Only Weird Games.
We're too far gone.